Don't. Don't open that box. What have you done? You shouldn't have opened it. You shouldn't have opened it. Opened it. Opened
Buongiorno, listening people. It is I, Ryanski Slewinskio, and I am one of your hosts of Spit and Pasta Presents the Mystery Box, in which myself and my fellow Italian co-host, Barcenzo, talk to you about movies that we had to watch that are complete mysteries to us. Buongiorno, Barcenzo!
Hello, Ryan.
Hola.
What was your name again, sorry?
I just said Ryaskino.
Ryaskino.
It is I, Ryaskino. So, Barcenzo, we're
Yes.
Spit and Pasta Presents, likingly because we are always spitting, and we're Italians.
We both happen to be pasta.
We are both Italianos. We should have gotten our friend Luke Pervarelli on the show for this episode. But Bartek, or Barcenzo, sorry, Barcenzo.
Ryaskino.
Get it right. We're doing our monthly show, The Mystery Box, in which we have a box filled with mysterious movies and or video projects that have been found secondhand from op shops or the gutter. Complete mysteries to us. We have not seen them or heard of these movies. Not saying that no one in the world hasn't seen or heard of these movies. I mean, there's one that we've done on the show that I'm pretty sure no one else in the world, other than the people who made it and us, have seen, which is
Frosty
the Rise.
the Snowman. Oh,
Yeah, of course, Legend of Frosty the Snowman. No, but Barcenzo,
yes, Ryaskizo.
we used to be spit and polished, likely because we're always spitting. We used to be Polish. I used to be Ryan Slewinski. You used to be Bartek.
Now
but
we're Polish.
But
I mean pasta.
we watched a film in today's mystery box episode that just made us Italian after watching it. It's like,
Coincidentally, the film's also got a lot of Italian going on.
I know, and it's like when we watched it, it was like Mussolini came over and gave us Italian passports, birth
I think it's
certificates.
Italian pasta.
But it's pasta, unlike that filthy Turkish pasta, am I right, guys? But Barcenzo,
Yes, Ryaskizo.
Barcenzo, we had to watch something mysterious, something completely different. I had to choose it. We were going to have a guest for this episode, but they betrayed us because, filthy, filthy traitors make me have to choose the movie. Because last time, it was us two. You chose the movie at random. Completely mysterious. They're all wrapped up, completely random.
Well, they weren't wrapped up at the time, but yes.
I picked this one that we're going to be talking about today called The Fourth Tenor. The Fourth Tenor. I initially picked a different one, and then you said, "Oh, there's a rip on that package." I went, back in it goes, because I said beforehand I'm not going to choose that one.
Yes.
And then I accidentally chose that one,
And then
I grabbed this one.
Of the 7, you happened to pick the one that you said you wouldn't pick.
Yeah, exactly.
And Ryan is a man of his principle. Sorry, Ryaskizi or whatever your name is.
Why
He's a
can't you get it? It's Ryaskino.
Ryaskino.
Why is it so difficult, Barcenzo? Why is it so difficult, son?
Ryaskino is a man of his principles.
Exactly. I'm a man of my word.
Principale.
Exactly, oh.
Ryaskino de Medici.
I unwrapped The Fourth Tenor, and I reacted as I was very, very not surprised, because I had an inkling that it was going to be this one. Last episode, we had Fido, and that was an actual movie, and I had a feeling that we were going to choose another actual film, and I knew in the box The Fourth Tenor was there, because it had Rodney Dangerfield, and I went, oh, that's going to be a real movie. That's not going to be like Mediopocalypse or something, the last one.
The one that I picked, yes.
So I knew I felt we were going to have a real movie, and I thought it was going to be this, and it happened to be this.
Hey, Lupo! Hey, Lupo, how do you keep your weight down?
How I keep my weight down? My age, everything is down.
But Bartek, when you saw that this was picked out, what did you feel? Did you feel lustful, Italian?
I mean, I was looking forward to it because even if I'm not super familiar with Rodney Dangerfield, I knew that he is a comedian. And actually, Ryan, for the past 2 or 3 days, when I go on YouTube, on the front page, it keeps recommending me
Rodney Dangerfield?
a video interview of Rodney Dangerfield on Johnny Carson, I think it was. And the title,
And how it's like he's one-liners.
the title of the video is like, Johnny Carson can't keep up with Rodney Dangerfield.
I've been recommended this video too.
Yeah, very recently.
What has happened? Has there been a Johnny Carson and Rodney Dangerfield resurgence at late, where people are
revival.
like, "Whoa, people, we need to get back on
Well,
this."
we're in an age of the internet where everything goes viral, so I guess older things are being discovered and becoming viral.
So you were a bit excited because you've had some Rodney Dangerfield exposure in your life recently of recommendations.
I didn't watch the video, yeah.
No, but now you will, right?
Oh, definitely.
Indeed. So, Barcenzo.
Rice Skeezy. No.
I picked this. I was excited. You were like, "Oh yeah, this one. I remember this one being talked about in the box." Now I bought this.
I thought Rachel bought it.
My fiance and I bought this together. Well, she didn't want to take credit for it while watching it today. I don't know why. It was a fantastic movie. I saw the cover. I saw Rodney Dangerfield, and I was like, sold. Just if it isn't Caddyshack, then this is for the show, because I don't know really any other Rodney Dangerfield product movie wise. I know more of his stand-up and more of his cameo appearances, but lead roles or main player roles, it's Caddyshack or Back to School. Like in Caddyshack, he's not the main character, but he's like one of the main things you remember from Caddyshack, and all that. But we'll get into the Dangerfield. But I've got to describe this cover, because the cover is always what draws us, or myself especially, because I'm the one who usually finds these.
It's happened for me as well, yeah.
Because the covers are all we go off of, So the fourth tenor has this far out amazing font choice. It's like Times New Roman, which is a good choice because that's Italian.
Yeah,
Rome.
They go to Rome.
And
He goes to Rome.
The font is just the fourth tenor. The fourth is spelt in a different type of font, in an italic kind of style as well, and it's just
Like
in
a
pure
bold red as well.
bold red.
Yeah.
But the and tenor is its color has got the black outline, and inside the font it's green, white, and red, the Italian colors. So it's giving you the feeling it's gonna be Italian. And the behind the font is this just white, just kind of white glow, and musical notes behind it. Just faint musical notes, just very faint. And then behind that is an auditorium of people. That's the back of that's the background of the poster here, is this massive auditorium. And you see, very geniusly photoshopped, is 3 tenors, 3 opera singers taking a bow. They're facing away from us. We don't get to see what they look like. And in front of them, big on the cover, takes up most of the cover, facing us, singing and shattering a wine glass in his hand, is Rodney Dangerfield. And it says his name, it says another guy's name, and then it says a comedy with high notes, but the D in comedy is a musical note.
Well, that's cute.
Cute. And then on the bottom, it has the rating, it has its Dolby Digital DVD, but also just has a cartoon of a rose.
Because it's Italian.
It's Italiano.
It's romantic.
Oh, yes.
Yeah.
So,
If you were to, if you weren't to look at it that closely, glance over it in a video store, you might think that it's like a DVD of, an opera production.
So I chose this because it's got Rodney Dangerfield in it. And Rodney Dangerfield was one of those legendary stand-up comedians, and he had a very specific style that people who don't even know him know his style, where he has the very kind of sweaty, nervy demeanor with that mixture of nerves and blustering confidence, and he had the famous catchphrase, "I get no respect."
Yeah. Is it I don't get no
I
respect?
don't get no respect. Yeah. And he has, he always does the tie adjustment and the loose tie with the tight little knot in the tie. And, we all know the look.
He'd be the kind of guy that goes, "Oh, boy."
He does go, "Oh, boy." That's another catchphrase. He does the pulling of the collar, "Oh, boy," and that kind of stuff. So Rodney Dangerfield's a very iconic in that regard, and his stand-up comedy, really good stuff. It's that kind of very of its time, but we could do a whole. I could do a whole podcast on the underappreciated form of Rodney Dangerfield's comedy. Like, he was doing stand-up comedy for decades upon decades, and only got recognized in the later part of his career. So, interesting figure.
Yeah, and he's known for a lot of one-liners, right?
One-liners.
Bit of a rip-off of They Call Me Bruce.
Yeah,
but,
exactly.
yeah.
And his comedy was very self-reflexive. So he would talk about his wife and this and this and this, and then you actually explore. It's like, oh no, those were real things he was talking about, but he did in that very hoo boing quing ting, and you get the drum tish and all that. So very interesting figure. He was big with Caddyshack. I think that was one of his big movie things.
Mm-hmm.
You know of Caddyshack?
Yes.
Have you seen it?
No.
Have you seen any Rodney Dangerfield movies or him in a movie or
I'm
show?
honestly not sure if I have.
So people our age would know him maybe from Caddyshack as a big thing, but mainly he would be known to us as Mr. Burns' son in The Simpsons.
Welcome to scenic Waynesport. And remember your visit with a googly-eyed walnut. How about a googly-eyed rock? Some nice local squash candy? A stretched-out Pepsi bottle? Come on. If this stuff is too nice for you, I've got some crap.
And he would be known as the grandfather of Little Nicky and Little Nicky. He plays Lucifer. And his whole joke is he doesn't get no respect. No one listens to him. Because he used to be the head Satan, then his son Harvey Keitel took it, and like no one listens to him. It's like he's wearing a bathrobe, which was one of his stand-up comedy specials. He toured around the robe tour, where he just wore like a bathrobe and nothing else. And he had a cigar, so he's got that. But yeah, so he's known for those things for our generation, and just kind of things riffing on his stand-up comedy style. But mainly film-wise, I think he was mainly known for doing stuff like Caddyshack and Back to School, which, oddly enough, kind of got ripped off recently with Melissa McCarthy doing a Back to School type movie where she's like a middle-aged fat lady who goes back to college and hijinks ensues.
More like a Billy Madison kind of thing?
Well, Billy Madison's reasons are different, but yeah, it's that kind of riffing on. And in Back to School, Robert Downey Jr.'s in it. As the douchey villain type guy, or douchey kind of college frat bro kind of guy. So Back to School is a great movie where check it out. Like, it also has Danny Elfman's in it because his band Oingo Boingos. Anyway, Rodney Dangerfield has some credibility. So I saw this DVD and I was like, I haven't heard of this movie. And it kind of looks a bit crap via the cover. Like, what's this about? And I thought it was going to be Thunderpants. I thought he's going to be farting so hard or doing some gross out comedy of some sort, because Rodney Dangerfield's kind of comedy as well was a lot of physical comedy. Like in Caddyshack, he has like his golf clubs that literally shoot out via rockets and hit people in the crotch, and he's like, oh boy, he deserved that, am I right?
If you were to be given a random Rodney Dangerfield film that you've never seen before, never heard of before, would you expect him to be playing a wise guy or a naive character?
That's actually really tough because he's known for just doing both, like one or the other. So like in Caddyshack, he's this awesome figure that everyone respects and reveres, and he's got this ultimate confidence and he's a wisecrack guy. But then in other movies or other things, he's nervy and kind of gets no respect.
Okay.
So that's why it's hard. So I didn't know what to expect with this Rodney Dangerfield. I didn't know what we were going to get into. So let's get into The Fourth Tenor. The Fourth Tenor is a title that has nothing to do with this movie.
The tenor part we can give it, and
The fourth part?
the is a word that's in a lot of things, so that's a freebie. The fourth part, apart from the cover, I don't know.
The closest we get is there's a family later in the movie that teaches him how to sing.
Yeah.
And there's 3 of them, but that's the closest. And technically there's 4 of them, so...
Yeah, but yeah.
So Bartek, tell us what we got in for. What did the Fourth Tenor give us?
Well, Ryan, The Fourth Tenor is a story...
Oh, really?
Within a story.
Oh my god, is it Inception level?
It is a story that is told to a young man named Johnny.
Oh, far out. I'm very glad you can remember his name after all
I
this
remember
time.
because when his name was said, you made a The Room reference.
Yes, I did. I was like, oh, hi, Johnny.
Yes, so a young man named Johnny is having trouble with his lady.
Is he Italian?
Probably.
You mean definitely?
Definitely. There aren't many Italians in this film, so I got confused. Anyway, he enters this restaurant, and there's only one person in the restaurant, a worker named Alphonse?
Your guess is as good as mine.
It's either Alphonse or Alfonso, and...
I think it's Alfonso.
Alfonso. And, Johnny's he's telling Alfonso his problem, and Alfonso says, your problem is about love or something. I know a story about a man who's...
Went to the ends of the earth.
Went to the ends of the earth for love.
And when he means ends of the earth, he means...
From America to Rome.
To Rome. Yeah. If the earth was flat, I mean, yeah, you'd fall off at Rome, right? You know, one of the biggest empires in the world was at the edge of the world.
It's like, what, a quarter to a third of the way around the world?
No. Not in this movie's world.
Oh, he went the other way around.
He went to the end of the world.
He went over Australia and Asia to get to Europe.
Yeah. Exactly right. So, this is, like you said, this is a story told in media res, as you like to call it.
Mm-hmm.
A character that has little to no influence on the actual plot is telling us... / this character Johnny the plot of the movie.
Yeah, Alfonso is fairly throughout the whole film.
But he has no real effect on the plot.
Yeah.
That's what I mean. Like, he's in the movie, but he has no real effect on the plot.
He has a presence, but not much of an influence.
Yeah, unlike previous movies we did that's done it in media res, like On a Level Stardust and definitely Betaville, those
Frosty
characters...
the Snowman kind of as well.
And Frosty the Snowman, those were main characters that are telling it to their grandchildren or someone else in the future. This is just some minor character.
Yeah, and it's not like it cuts back to him or we hear Alfonso's narration throughout it. It's like the beginning of the film, hey, let me tell you a story.
And then the end.
And the film ends and it cuts back and, like, that's the story.
What you're going through for love is nothing, all right? I know a guy who went to the ends of the earth for love.
What do you mean?
Stay right there. Tell you what I'm gonna do for you, my friend. Have a little wine here. I'm gonna tell you the story of Lupo. What this guy did for love. And you know, it started on a rainy night, just like this.
Our main character is played by Rodney Dangerfield, and his name is Lupo.
Oh, does he have a last name?
Well, oh boy, I don't get no respect.
No, I don't get no last name, you mean? I don't get no Christian
Oh,
surname.
just him?
Oh, no, it's everyone. No one has a last name in this movie, and I make this a point because it's so unnatural the way it's done. So you can have movies where you don't know any characters' last names. I'm not saying you can't, but with this movie, you need to, via the way that this world works, because Lupo is... What is he, Bartek?
He owns a very successful restaurant where...
An Italian restaurant?
An Italian restaurant, of course, right?
Barcenzo, sorry. Barcenzo.
Raischino.
You're really struggling on this. Should I have chosen a better one?
I kept going with Raischisi.
Raischisi. Okay, Raischisi it is.
So Raischino Zischino. He owns an Italian restaurant, very famous, very popular. A lot of people come in, and this restaurant also features opera singers.
Yeah.
They come in, sing on the stage with the microphone.
Yeah.
That-
Well, she doesn't need the microphone, but it's there for some reason.
She? Is there a prominent woman that you're referring to?
Oh,
yes,
yes.
there is. A newcomer named Gina
Yeah,
is
who's...
performing at the very beginning of the film.
Just Gina?
Just Gina, Ryan. There's no last names in this.
See, it's so infuriating to me, because, okay, his name's Lupo... You're expecting to hear his last name, like, oh, the legendary Mr. Lupo such and such, or like Mr. such and such, but he's always just Lupo. And I could give that one maybe a little bit of a break, because maybe he's just so... It's Rodney Dangerfield, so he's just such a jovial, down-to-earth guy that everyone just calls him via his first name. I could get that, but he is presenting her. It's her debut performance in the city. It's her debut performance at this club. And he just calls her Gina. He doesn't call her, like, Gina such and such. And there's literally posters later that says, Gina. What is she, Cher or Adele? Like, at least Cher and Adele aren't normal-ish names. Like, they're just individual, like, Gina. Just Gina. It's just so infuriating. And then you notice that everyone is just called via their first name. Like, they don't have a last name.
Yeah, you were on that case the whole way through. In my head, I was thinking, okay, no one so far in the film has like a relative that would theoretically have the same last name as them. So I was okay with it.
Until later in the movie.
But then eventually we are introduced to a family and they also don't have last names, and there I was like,
There's
okay.
some that don't even have fucking first names. They just call Mum and Pop.
Well, to be fair, Speed Racer also did that, Ryan. So
Mum
it's
and
alright.
Pop, yeah.
That's an unappreciated masterpieces. Pieces, plural. But anyway, so Gina's performing and Rodney Dangerfield is introduced to us as like a charismatic owner of the restaurant, and when he is introducing Gina,
He's just doing his stand-up.
he's putting on that character, like, oh, this like wise guy insult comic kind of character.
Yeah, oh boy.
It's like, oh, I first heard her in a pin dropped and it was in a bowling alley, and
Yeah, bowling pin. Ho, and everyone's like, boing, boing, and they're like, yeah.
yeah. So you think like, okay, so he's playing like a douchey character.
Yeah, like he walks up to Bob from that 70s show
Yeah.
and gives wise cracker jokes to him and his wife. And you're like, oh, this is going to be Rodney Dangerfield's whole character. He's going to be Rodney Dangerfield, right? He's going to be like this wiseacre, cracking jokes, know-it-all, better than those people, but he's actually a dumbass.
Yeah,
But
and-
then he's not that ever again in the movie, basically.
After Gina's finished performing and everyone's like, oh wow, she's amazing, Lupo goes to her dressing room and like is gonna do this like, oh, the boss is really happy with you kind of shtick to her, and she chews him out for the insult comic routine, and then after that he's like this naive puppy in love kind of character.
See,
for the
you're
whole
skipping
film.
over the fact that
I know I am
she's
skipping,
such a
but-
bitch.
Yeah.
And look, I was complaining at first, but then I should give the movie credit. They introduce her, she's chewing him out for this comedy intro he gave. And I was just so annoyed because it's like, where does she think she's performing at? She's performing at just some Italian restaurant in the middle of Chinatown, or at least a middle of a street with 3 Chinese restaurants on it.
Yeah.
She's not performing at like the Grand Opry House.
Yeah, it's
like she's
it's
not
fancy.
performing at the Apollo Theater. Like she's performing at a nightclub. What does she think's gonna happen?
Yeah, as fancy and popular as it is just a restaurant.
It's a place
with
where they
stage.
sing birthday songs.
Yeah.
What does she think? What does she think she's going to get? Like a giant fanfare. So they introduce her as being a bit of a bitch there, and I was like, oh, it's me who has the problem here, because you're like, it's a valid complaint or whatever, but then she is a bitch through the movie, this Gina character. She's actually...
I wasn't defending her, but...
She is actually a bitch.
Yeah.
She's like an antagonist of the movie.
Yeah, she's introduced... Again, introduction. She's kind of introduced as a sort of like underdoggy kind of character.
Yeah,
coming
she's
in.
up and coming.
But then very shortly after this, we get like the 1 month later thing, and she's like in a rose petal covered jacuzzi, and
Yeah,
she's a big
her
deal.
her own room now. Like they've smashed through a brick wall to make a room for her. He's in love with her. Like the bartender.
Oh yeah,
guy,
getting
the
chewed
waiter,
out made him fall in love with her.
made him fall in love because she said you can kiss my ass, and then he's like, she's got a great ass, and that's what made him fall in love with her because she has gusto and she has a nice ass.
But she will not love him, Skeezy. No, Skeezy. Unless he is able to sing opera.
Yeah. It changes though. It's I won't love you unless you can sing, and I won't love you unless you can sing opera.
Oh, that's right. It was sing initially.
Initially, and then it eventually became opera.
Yeah.
So what does he do? He goes, well, I got to learn how to sing. So I'll ask my friend
Alfonso,
the bartender, who doesn't sing either, if he could find someone who can teach me to sing. And Alfonso can see right through Gina. He's like, she's a manipulator. She can't change. She's using you. But, Rodney's in love.
But he wants to hire someone to pretend to be like a professional singer.
Oh, Alfonso, yeah.
Yeah, to tell him that like, oh, you just have to be born with it and so you can drop it.
Yeah, basically he wants to hire someone else to discourage Lupo.
But then the person he hires, and I do not remember this guy's name.
It was a very specific Italian name.
It begins with an I.
It was like Elena,
Yelena,
Yelena or something.
Yeah, this guy.
He's played by a guy that's in Die Hard, and that's all I need to say. He's an FBI agent in Die Hard, and I just recognize this guy's face as like that douchebag guy. But in
looked
this, he's
familiar
playing
to
a
me too.
very different type of character. He is a douche. He is the villain, but he's playing like a street hustler.
Yeah, he's trying to... It seems like he's trying to rip people off with like some fast-talking kind of scheme next to like a news
Yeah, he's on the
agent
street
outlet.
in Little Italy.
And Alfonso clearly knows this guy, and he like bribes him to just like, hey, when I introduce you to Lupo, just tell him that you have to be born a singer. But then he does that, and Lupo's very grateful for his honesty.
And he gives him a business
He
card.
gives him a business card that has his full name Lupo on it.
Just Lupo. It just says Lupo. It doesn't have like his last name. No one has a last name in this movie. When the credits rolled, it was just first names, no last names.
Yeah, we paid
and we
attention.
paid attention during the movie. If anyone would have a last name, like no one is called Miss Blah or Mr. Blah. They're all just, it is Tony. Oh, it is Marcello. Oh, Marcello. Oh, it's this, and this. Ma, Pa. They're all just no last names. It's so weird.
It's also awkward, yeah, because with Italian last names, there's like they're kind of fun to say as well.
Yes.
Like they skeezy, like yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Pavarello. Like it's so weird that this is a universe where nobody has last names. Like when we did our episode on unappreciated masterpieces of Baby's Day Out, and I said it's a universe in which no one looks down.
Yeah.
Because no one ever looks down to see a baby crawling at their feet. This is a universe where no one has a last name. This is a world in which
But
everyone...
families exist.
But families exist.
Yeah.
So...
And there's a wedding at the end too. So like, what was going to happen there? Like,
yeah, well, we were going to say that her name's Rosa, his name's Lupo. It's going to be La Rosa or something, or Rupro. So Bartek, of course, sleazy con man guy.
when he finds out that Lupo owns a very successful business.
Oh, because he's Lupo. Everyone knows who Lupo is, except for when he's introduced as this is Lupo. He doesn't connect that it's the Lupo. But when he sees it on a business card, Lupo, he's like, oh my god, it's the Lupo?
Well-
He owns a restaurant? That's not named after him, or not named after his last name. It's a restaurant that's just like a common everyday phrase that to the point I can't remember it.
Well, he's not called Lupo the Great yet.
No, not
That
yet.
comes much later in the film.
So, street hustling man, Ilyana, or whatever his name was,
Ilyana.
he decides, no, I know, I'll hustle this guy. He's rich. So he does this whole gag where he's like, oh, you got the cheeks of a singer, you got the eyes of a singer. Of course, Rodney Dangerfield is known for having these buggy-out eyes.
Yeah.
Like these fucking pug eyes, to the point in which there was a cartoon movie that was...
Rover Dangerfield.
Dangerfield, which... Why? Well, that's a whole thing in itself. I don't know whoever thought that, who's really popular with the kids? Rodney Dangerfield, and he should be a singing dog.
Yeah,
But-
that's how I first heard of him, because Nostalgia Critic did a review on that film. But,
Oh, man.
yeah.
So, yeah, he's like, I'll con him. I'll say, you know what? You do have the possibility of singer. I'll hook you up with a guy, Vincenzo.
in Rome, but we
We
didn't
didn't know
it
that.
was in
You're-
Rome
you
first,
see-
yeah.
Because eventually, yeah, what's his name? Sleazy guy talks to Vincenzo on the phone at the restaurant in the office.
Mm-hmm.
And they're both, it's nighttime where he is, and it's nighttime where Vincenzo is. And then the only way we knew Vincenzo was in Rome, because the next scene is Rodney Dangerfield on a plane going to Rome.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh, he was in Rome, and my fiancée Rachel, she was just like, oh, you didn't pick up on that?
Oh, she
How was I
did?
supposed to pick up on that? You know what I mean? It's the visual language. Like,
get-
the
yeah.
only way I could pick up on that is if, for some reason, one, they should have had Vincenzo during the daytime, so you're like, oh, he's somewhere else.
Yeah.
And then maybe behind him,
Like, give us a
an
distinct
Italian
time,
pavilion, or like the leaning, something obviously
Yeah, yeah.
stupid to make it go, oh, there's a different location than across the road in the city somewhere, like.
Like, I guess, yeah, in retrospect, the only thing we had is suddenly they're speaking Italian and there's, like, subtitles. It's like,
Yeah, but everyone's
yeah.
Italian in this.
Exactly.
The biggest confusion is Rodney Dangerfield doesn't speak Italian, yet he works in an Italian restaurant with all Italians
And-
who speak Italian in the restaurant all the time.
And it's established that he's really good at making Italian sauce.
Yeah, well, the guys, Rodney Dangerfield does later, but at the beginning he's good at tasting it.
Yeah, that's
To the point in which it
right.
gets all over his big nose. It's such a confusing thing. So the basic premise is, before we go to breakdown, is basically Rodney Dangerfield is exploited. Then he gets out of being exploited and finds who he will soon realize is his true love, because Gina is vapid. It's the age old. He's gone to go on the quest to win a girl's heart, but really the person he got on the quest with is the person
Yeah.
for him, not the person he's on the quest for. And, he learns to sing in some way, shape, or form. We'll get into that. And hijinks ensues. And in the end, he realizes he loves Rosa. I love Rosa. And they kiss. And then the movie ends. Yeah, that's the kind of
Things
movie.
happen, but
That's the
that's,
kind of movie we've got here, people. And I'm just going to say it now.
Oh, well, Ryan, you forgot the other plot point. Johnny gets back with his girl.
Oh, yeah, Johnny gets back with the girl at the end. But this is what I've really got to stress. I just said this plot to you guys.
Yeah.
And Bartek just hinted that things happen in between. Yeah, the things are the most predictable, cookie cutter, just going by, paint by numbers. And it was so infuriating to me. Yes, there was funny moments in this movie, intentional and non-intentional, but it was just so lifeless. Like, it was just so... And Rodney Dangerfield's quite old in this movie. He looks haggard through this.
Yeah, he is.
He's trying his best. He wrote this.
He did, yes.
He was one of the writers with the director who apparently directed something in which is called Funky Monkey. Funky Monkey is the title of a movie, and the poster of that movie is a monkey wearing sunglasses with an American football on the tip of its finger.
You gotta promise me to be on your best behavior, okay?
When it comes to trouble, he's the monkey in the middle.
He's Monkey's secret agent?
That is a dangerous, dangerous primate.
We have a chip on the loose!
Being wild
All right, Clement!
is a way of life.
He took my purse! That's right, you're the chip!
How messed up you gotta be to get kicked out of a zoo?
Funky Monkey.
There's not many jokes. Rodney Dangerfield doesn't crack many jokes in this.
Yeah, there's like the occasional one-liner, but it's... Yeah.
So you just follow this plot of, he falls in love. If this could have just been played more as a romantic movie, like the comedy aspect, but it's not a romance movie either, because by the time he meets her, we're like 60% through the film. So, either way, he goes off to Rome because he's an idiot. It's the idiot plot where everything would be solved if the main character wasn't an idiot. Right?
Yeah.
Because it's so obvious he's being exploited. And we have the plane sequence, the best sequence in the movie, because it's so terribly acted by everyone.
Yeah, basically, Rodney Dangerfield, he's sitting in an aisle seat, on the side, and there's a woman, kind of just to his left, just across the aisle.
A very old lady.
Yeah,
with, the shawl on, and she looks like those old Italian gypsy ladies.
Yeah, basically like a meter, most of a meter, apart from him. And they have a conversation like, oh, so where are you going? And Rodney talks about how Lupo, mentions the town he's going to, which is
just outside of Rome.
Yeah. Apparently, the way that she reacts basically makes it sound like, oh, it's a country town. No one's really heard of it
why
much.
would you go there?
Yeah, and she asks him. She lists like two reasons, like
because
why
she lives there.
Yeah. She's like, oh, I live there. Why are you going? Are you going for this or are you going for this? And he tells her, oh, no.
Yeah, are you going for business or are you going for a girl? And he basically answers that by, he's going for a girl, technically, and for business. So, but he answers it in a different way.
He says, no, I'm going to see... I can't remember if he said...
I'm going to learn how to sing.
Yeah, I'm going to learn how to sing. And then she goes, oh, from Vincenzo.
Because she knows automatically.
And then she tells the person in front of her, hey... He's this, as she says it in Italian, but we can hear Americano idiota going to...
No, stupado Americano.
Oh, yeah, stupado Americano.
Because I made the joke that later on it's, no, he's stupendous.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, and she tells the person in front of her, she specifically name drops Vincenzo. He pisses himself laughing, and then they,
He tells the old man across the aisle from him, and then that old man tells his wife.
Everyone passes it on, and everyone in the plane is laughing.
And then I ask the question, are they all going to this town? Because it seems like in the world, at that point and after, Vincenzo's only known in that town. Because he eventually visits Rosa. She doesn't know who he is outside of the mentionings via Lupo.
Yeah, his association.
So it's not like Vincenzo's like this big guy who's known in Rome. He's known in this small Italian countryside, but everyone on the plane knows who Vincenzo is. So do they all go there, or do they all ride this plane all the time, in which they meet fellow suckers of Vincenzo? So they're like, oh, we know of Vincenzo via osmosis of being on this plane.
Yeah, but despite that, when she listed her 2 reasons, she acted like, oh, there can't possibly be a third one.
Yeah, one of them being conned by Vincenzo.
Stupado Americano, what could your third reason possibly be?
She didn't even... I guess this could technically be business, but she didn't even ask, oh, are you moving there for retirement? Because he's clearly like a 70-year-old man.
Well, we don't know what he's meant to be in the film, to be fair.
But he looks old.
He looks really
so
old.
How come she doesn't ask, are you moving there for live to retire? Do you have family?
Tourism?
No, that's the reason that she doesn't ask that, because why
that's
wouldn't you
fair.
go there for Rome? Or are you going there to buy a farm? Well, all this stuff. But so that scene's great because everyone's acting with their hands, and Italians are known for acting with their hands. But this is really awkward acting. It's like really stiff, and like you could tell that none of these people are actually saying any words. They're just lips like miming it, and they're just gonna add it in post. And it's just great.
And of course, Alfonso knows about this exchange.
Of course.
Yes.
Somehow in media res, he knew about this very minor exchange.
Yes. So when Johnny's making out with his girlfriend behind the window, he's thinking about like this moment as well.
So they get off the plane.
Yeah.
He gets off this bus and he meets Vincenzo. But my big critique was, where's the old lady?
Yeah,
She
was
didn't
going
get off
there
the
as well.
bus.
Yeah.
Where is everyone else that was on the plane? Like, that, just laziness.
At the very least, she, wearing her standing out green clothes, should have been visible there, right?
I felt there was the one good joke in this scene where he gets off the bus.
Mm-hmm.
Vincenzo asks for money to pay the boy that's putting luggage in the car. And Rodney Dangerfield, Lupo's like, oh, take all the money. He grabs like a fucking wad
Like, how
of
much
cash.
money do you have? I have this much.
And he holds like a fucking fistful of dollars. And Vincenzo picks like individual bills. Like, he doesn't just take all of it.
Like, deliberately, like, oh, how much he needs.
And then he tells Lupo to go check the car to make sure nothing is, like, make sure that your bags have got stuff in them, because thieves. And then you see the guy putting the bags, puts his hand out to get the money off of him, and Vincenzo puts, like, quickly, like, dabs the guy's hand with money and then pulls it away, and the guy's like, huh? And then just walks, and he just walks away confused.
Oh, I missed that.
And then Vincenzo puts the money in his, this is another part, this is all one gesture. Dabs, puts the money, the guy goes, oh, and then he puts the money in his coat pocket to make it look like a handkerchief.
Right.
That was awesome. That was just great little bit of, and I felt like it was improvised, honestly. Like, it just felt very natural, which a lot of the physical stuff doesn't in this movie. And then Vincenzo then steals more money off of him, and they get off in the car.
He takes the whole thing.
And they go to Vincenzo's house, and I was waiting for that bit. And they do this bit, and it doesn't work. They go, like, I'm waiting for Vincenzo's place to be a dive. A real shithole.
Yeah.
And they do that gag where it's like, and you'll be sleeping in here, and he's got
This
like
private room.
He's got this shitty bed, and there's a dog on it. But the problem is Vincenzo's got a really nice place.
Yeah.
And like when he opens up the thing, I guess it's because it's a single mattress with a dog on it that it's supposed to be like, oh, it's a shithole. But like I was expecting like
it's a serviceable room.
It would be a great place to stay. Yeah. I don't know. Like I was waiting for that moment in which he was going to open it up and it's going to be like
hay on the floor.
Hay on the floor, yeah. Or like one of those really crappy like beds that are like held up with like just like two sticks that are in like joined together, like one of those kind of wartime beds. Like I was expecting some real shithole, but he's got a nice place. It's just there's a dog on the bed, who eventually runs away. Because Rodney Dangerfield can't sing, can he, Bartek?
No, he can't. And we know that he's not the first one to do this, not only because of the people on the plane, but because there is a bird.
Yeah, how many times does Vincenzo and Sleazy Guy meet people who want to learn how to sing and have a fuck ton of money enough to fly over to Rome to do this? I guess we have... Like, I don't understand, where does this con come from? Because at least in the context of the movie, this is a very specific case in which he meets... It's not like Gina's in on this. Gina's not in on this. Like, if she was in on this,
we have to make
it would make much more sense. Like, she's the bait. And then, and then they hook him in, and that would make more sense if Gina was in on this from the very beginning.
Yeah, but when and there is she and the sleazy guy have a thing going on throughout the whole film, but we don't.
But it's the first time she's met him.
Yeah, and like the first time we see them together, they seem familiar with each other.
Oh, I think it's because time has passed. And it's
Obviously, the
established...
month has passed, but no, wait.
They
met him
his
after
time
the
in
month
Italy.
passed.
Yeah. So what I'm saying is, it makes no sense that they have this ongoing scheme, him and Vincenzo, of getting these gullible people in to learn how to do opera.
Well,
I don't understand what the technique is.
Clearly,
here.
Ryan, we have to make an amendment to what you said before. Baby's Day Out is a world where people don't look down. This is a world where people don't have last names
and don't think.
And singing is a very precious commodity for love, evidently.
Yeah, everyone does it. Like everyone. That's why they need that wine.
People need to sing because it's a desirable trait. Like for Gina, it's desirable in a partner. Clearly, there are other people that also want people that can sing.
Ma pari tutto amor, Silvio, Segro, King Contro, Bella C, Kill Me, Encore.
Now, I'm being very critical on this movie, if you cannot tell.
Yeah, Ryan.
But Bartek had laughed and smiled several times by this point, and you were laughing especially during this whole sequence at Vincenzo's house, because there was birds, a bird that could talk, there was a dog that did some tricks with a bag. Bartek, explain to me, not the listening people, but to me, what was amusing in the movie?
It was really mainly just like funny faces and stuff like that. Like one of the first things I laughed at was like
Rodney Dangerfield's face, right?
No. It was like these two, like a fat man and a fat woman eating and like not listening to someone that was talking to them. Like it was just something like that. And part of it was also because you and Rachel were feeling very embarrassed about the film.
It was embarrassing though, right?
It was, yes, but
There's that bit where Rodney Dangerfield's talking to Gina and she's got no top on.
Yes, that's right.
And it's like it's like you could tell they didn't rehearse it.
That's the scene where she tells him I needed a man who can sing.
And it's so embarrassing. Like, it's so awkward. It's so awkward, but not awkward funny, just awkward embarrassing. So you were amused by the bird that said, another sucker, another sucker.
I was more amused by the dog, I think, actually.
The dog that just dragged his bag out because Rodney Dangerfield can't sing, so the dog wants him to leave.
Yeah, the dog had a lot of...
You're smiling now!
It's because the dog, it had a character going on.
What character? It was just a dog that took the bag.
Because usually when I think of dogs barking, it's like a kind of annoying thing. Like, oh, what's going on with you, dog? Why are you barking? But this dog was annoyed.
I guess it was also a French pit bull. No, a French bulldog. They're in Italy. Choose an Italian type dog. I don't fucking French.
Hey, you don't know the dog's name.
I think they did give it a name too, but I can't remember what it was.
My point stands.
Because I don't care. I was honestly disappointed with this whole section of the movie because he spends time with Vincenzo, and I was expecting more.
Yeah, I was
time
too.
there where Vincenzo's doing tricks to try and trick him into thinking that he's doing a good job singing, but it just turns into Vincenzo and the whole neighborhood suffering Rodney Dangerfield's singing, and I just don't get how their ploy works. Like, I wanted to see like a Dirty Rotten Scoundrels type thing in which you could understand how he could make this ploy work for just for a scene, to see him be like, this is what you need to do. Like, to actually see him try to pretend to be a teacher.
Yeah, and Vincenzo, his demeanor, he didn't have as much going on as the sleazy guy back in America in terms of like, oh yeah, ripping this guy off, because there is the point where he gets him to sing in front of the people that eventually boo and chase him out, and he's acting like, oh, it's just a minor role, everything will be okay, and then he's genuinely horrified when he finds out, oh no, he was given the main role.
The first tenor.
The first tenor, yeah.
Which screws up the title of the movie even more. Why didn't they call him the first tenor? At least it's in the movie, that phrase.
Well, the fourth tenor is the title.
No, what I'm saying is it should have been called the first tenor.
Yeah.
because that phrase is in the movie. It's called the fourth tenor for why? Why?
I don't know. I guess we have to stick with what I said earlier.
I liked
three family
Vincenzo
members.
though. I thought the actor was good. I think I've seen him in a bunch of other stuff, but he had that kind of sleazy guy who thinks is elegant
Yeah.
kind of thing.
He's
And that's
always-
why I wanted more of
He
him
always had
trying
like the
to be.
scarf.
Yeah, and he had that really, really kind of bendy posture where his back kind of curved back. Like he had that very outward chest and stuff. And I want to see more of him doing the sleazy exploitation of our main character, but he just goes, "Oh, I'm sick of you. We'll make you perform in the town square." And he's genuinely surprised that the townspeople throw stuff at him. Like, I know he's surprised because he didn't expect him to be the first tenor, but, like, he did expect him to sing on stage.
Yeah.
And yet he's still surprised. I don't understand.
Not fully realized, I guess.
And
you
this
could
is the
say.
thing. This isn't a surrealist, absurdist comedy in which you could give these lapses of logic some credence. Like, oh, that's okay. Because this movie prides itself on being realistic on a level. Like, Rodney Dangerfield is not doing anything ludicrous like he does in some of his other movies, where, like in Caddyshack, he has a like I said, a golf bag that shoots out golf clubs via rockets, or Back to School, where he's a diving champion, so he dives off 3 diving boards, something, like. This is a movie where he's supposed to be like a 65-year-old, 70-year-old man who's fallen in love and is very rich. And then eventually it does introduce magical realism.
Yeah. That being said, for the realism, the crowd's reaction is to basically act like they're on a witch hunt. They have the torches and they chase him and everything.
Yeah, but they don't. But you're saying that. And that is accurate. But I don't want the listening people to get confused, because you're making it sound like that sounds fantastical on a level. Like, oh, you're thinking of a Frankenstein situation where they got pitchforks and that does happen, don't get me wrong, but it doesn't feel like, oh, that's heightened up the situation. It just feels like, yeah, sure.
Oh, well, I forgot the other detail. Mambo Italiano's playing over this scene.
It's like the only pop song they have in the movie too, I swear.
Yeah, it wasn't even like an opera version.
No, it was the version, and it was really off-putting, because it was during him doing opera too. So he just floats down the river, because he gets into a boat.
We didn't even... Yeah, there you go.
He gets into a little rowboat. He's dressed up as like an old-fashioned soldier with a wig that's on the back of the cover, might I add. It's just there. It doesn't matter. And he just floats down the river, and then it cuts to like
the next day.
The little Mario, little boy. He's like 4 years old, 5 years old, I'd say. He's missing a bunch
bit
of.
older,
He's
but
missing
yeah.
a bunch of teeth. He's little and barely speaks, so I say 5.
Yeah, I'd give it like a 5-6
5-6
out of 10.
He speaks like this when he does speak.
Mario.
And we knew his name was Mario, because the first thing we heard from Rosa, the adult woman,
Who's with
is
him?
Mario. I gotta ask this. So before we even get into her, this is an adult woman with a 5-year-old kid,
Yeah.
and I'm sure when I put the audio drop in to explain this, but I asked the question late into the movie, and all 3 of us watching this didn't have a concrete answer to this. Is Mario her son or her baby brother?
Yeah, there was a point in my head where I was thinking like, she doesn't really feel like a mum, and based on her character, it doesn't seem like she's had a previous lover.
And
but then
the fact that they're Italians too, and they're very strict on marriage stuff, it's not like she was previously married, because she's getting forced into a marriage because she's been single for so long. So.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
It was only when you asked the questions like, oh, I actually have to think about this now, and yeah, it really emphasized it.
So Rosa finds him.
Yes, well, Mario tells her that he's found a dead body.
Dead soldier.
And
she was like, oh, Mario, you're so funny. And goes find him, and tell me about the comedy genius of this scene, Bartek. Because you were actually laughing during this too.
Yeah, that's right, I was.
Were you trying to remember the scene or remember why you were laughing at the scene?
Both. Kind
okay,
of.
good.
I'm
See,
not even sure.
The comedy is everlasting.
I don't even remember if the thing I remembered is the thing I laughed at. But yeah, they find him, and he's got a prop gun that looks realistic. You know, Rosa thinks that it's real, but then
until
she
touches it.
Oh, it's just a toy, and thinking it's a dead body, what do you do when you find a dead body? You poke it with a stick, but she only has the toy gun. So she pokes it with the gun, and it's like a long, like, I don't know the term, matchlock handgun rifle
Flintlock.
thing, the flintlock gun. And then it wakes up Lupo, and he looks and he just sees a woman very happily aiming this gun at him.
There's just one detail that I got to point out.
Yes?
They think he's dead. They poke him. He doesn't make any noise. He doesn't move. And she goes, "Oh, he's sleeping. He's still face
that's
down."
right.
How does she know that? He's not evidently breathing. He doesn't make a noise when you poke him. Again, filmmaking. Get him to come, when he gets poked. That's all you need. That's all you need. Or him cough or burp or fart even. Jesus Christ. I'll give this movie this. There's no fart jokes.
There is one fart joke.
When?
The jacuzzi, Ryan.
Oh, I take that clap back. I just reversed the audio of me clapping.
And it goes on for a while too, Ryan.
I regret my comments. So, Bartek, tell me about the comedy genius of them waking up Rodney Dangerfield with a gun.
He freaks out and thinks it's a real gun, and she doesn't immediately realize that that's what he's thinking.
Yeah, comedy gold. So, eventually she takes him back to her villa, where they make wine, but they don't. I don't know what their family business is.
Yeah,
But they got one.
Yeah, they clearly make wine. They have the
Except
whole...
for they don't. Because they don't sell their wine.
Well, I said they make wine.
Wine.
They make wine.
But what's their business?
I just thought that, like, yeah, they make wine and they sell it, but they don't sell that specific type of wine that we find out later on.
We don't know.
Yeah.
We'll never know.
It's just, again, it's just a lot of conclusions being jumped to, but when you actually look at all the elements of the film, it's like, they didn't actually say that Rosa is Mario's mum.
Yeah, or...
It's just that...
Or sister.
It's just that the way that her parents and, like, behave regarding her and Mario is, Mario needs a father figure, therefore you need to marry Marcello.
Yes, and we'll get into Marcello.
So, yeah, clearly...
Or Marcello.
Yeah. Clearly the family do something, and they harvest something, because they mention, like, every so often there's, like, a big... feast where all the people who harvest get together, and it happens to be this family's turn now. So, and they have chickens and goats and stuff, so they do some kind of farm work.
So, he gets there, and he gets on with the dad and the mum, kind of, because he tastes their sauce, because they're Italian, so they make him eat, and he's like, "Oh, give me oregano, give me this," and he seasons up her sauce, and now... it's good, and the father's like, "Oh, I knew you could never cook. My mother is right about you."
Yeah, it's like the
Oh!"
first two scenes with the mum, she's like the punching bag, but then after that, they just drop that.
No. You should have said slapping on the arse bag, because there's that bit where Rodney Dangerfield, for no apparent reason,
he smacks her on the arse.
And when I say smack, I'm not talking about like a nice, like he has his fingers curled in a way where it looks like it's a real kind of punch of the palm. And I don't know why that happened, because the music was playing, we could barely hear what they were saying, and I was like, is there some kind of joke here? Like, she bent, I don't know, but yeah, so the family loves him. Rosa clearly loves him, like, love at first sight kind of thing. She's really in love, but he's a dumbass. He doesn't realize that he loves her. He's still in love with Gina. Meanwhile, back in where is it, New York?
America.
Back in Chinatown, old Alfonso's having to deal with Gina.
Because he thinks that Lupo's missing, right?
No, he's worried about Lupo because he thinks he's being extorted by creepy sleazy guy, and creepy guy is hitting on her to the point in which he's fingering her in her jacuzzi, which was nice. And, it's back and forth of that. Like, throughout this whole him in Italy, it cuts back to them doing sexy things, but not really. Like, nothing, like, hardcore. Just, he sticks his hand in the jacuzzi, and it's like, she reacts like, that's not the soap that you dropped. And then she gives, like, an O face, basically. And, stuff like that. And Alfonso comes in and he has to go hide behind something. Or he has to go hide in the jacuzzi. And that's the fart reference Bartek's making because he's trying to get air and it's bubbles and it makes it look like she's farting. And That's kind of all that's happening there.
Yeah, and that was a really weird thing too, because the first time he dives in, like, oh yeah, he had time to breathe in and stuff. Eventually, there's a part where he does submerge, and Alfonso doesn't see him.
He's looking,
and he doesn't take that chance. He has like a good 10 seconds. He doesn't take that chance to like get his breathing back together. Eventually, when he does have to dive in, he just quickly like inhales like and goes down. But then when eventually he's losing his breath and the fart jokes come in, he exhales a lot of bubbles, like way more than would be natural even if he did take a deep breath.
It's a lot of plot holes, is what you're saying.
No.
Let's get to the magical realism, because nothing happens in Italy other than romantic montages of him being pushed off a swing and you laughing hysterically at him falling into some chickens. That was you, Bartek.
Was that the part where I was exaggerating and like explaining the joke?
Yes.
Right, yes.
But then you started genuinely liking the jokes in that sequence. It was one of those, oh, you make fun of it, but then, you live long enough to make fun of it, you find it eventually funny kind of situations.
My happy disposition.
Yeah, exactly. All that happens is they have romantic montages, but he doesn't know it's romantic, but she does. And she eventually goes, you want to learn how to sing? Let's have a picnic.
Yeah, hold on, that was the thing. Throughout this whole sequence of him living at the villa, he hears the family, not Mario, but like the parents and Rosa singing, and he's very impressed by it.
And also they hear the name Marcello a lot.
Yes.
Like, oh, you're going to marry Marcello. She's like, I don't want to marry Marcello. I don't like Marcello. He's a nice guy, but he's not for me. And everyone's like, oh, but Marcello.
And we meet Marcello at the harvest feast.
Yes, and he's played by Vincent Schiavelli, who's known for... He's a very big character actor. Like, he's in One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest. He's in the film Ghost, the Patrick Swayze one. He's the one who teaches Patrick Swayze how to touch objects or move objects. Yeah,
and basically that whole sequence is basically him coming back and realizing, hey, I've been gone in Sicily for 3 weeks, and I come back and there's this new guy here that's...
He's nice about it, though. He's not, like, completely arrogant. He's just like, okay, like, my feelings are a bit hurt here. He's a nice guy. Maybe a little bit, like... Maybe a little bit overbearing, but nothing. I think overbearing's not even the right word to use. That's too strong of a word. That's too strong of a phrase. Like, but yeah, we meet him, but then eventually she's like, "Oh, you love us singing," and she goes, "You see, we weren't born to sing. We have a family secret. You see, shh, it's a family secret.
Yeah,
it's a secret.
Then
shh, we're not gonna find out.
Yeah, what it is. And then some scenes happen, and Lupo asks her, like, all right, look.
Oh, just Lupo? Does he have a last name?
Oh, sorry, I forgot his last name. It's Lupo Redacted. That's his last name. I just remember now.
Just Lupo, and then I'll beep it. Oh yeah, Lupo, beep.
And he asks her, like, hey, so what is your? How do you sing so well? I know you told me it's a secret, but come on, tell me.
And then she has
Takes
a picnic, gets him drunk on some wine, and then, it's the wine! It gives you magical throat abilities in which you can be dubbed over by an old record of an Italian opera. That's what happens. Mm-hmm. And they film you in faraway shots so that they don't have to make Rodney Dangerfield learn how to lip sync.
And then
he wrote the script, damn it! He knew what he was prepping for.
Yeah, and it's basically this happy moment, like, you helped me sing, I'm so happy, and like in another film this would be like, I love you, but instead it's like, now I can get with Gina, and then he sings a song about just like rubbing in this, I'm gonna get with Gina kind of thing.
Well, yeah, you see, you said in most movies, no, in most of these type of movies, that's the exact thing that they would do. He's like, I'm still in love with Gina, and she would be like, oh, okay,
Yeah, it's not the moment you fall in love with the lover, it's like, this is the moment where you realize, oh wait, I just helped him in his quest to get with another girl.
And then he just fucks back off to America.
Yeah.
And the movie just goes really downhill when he goes back, honestly, for me. It's just a lot of different movie premises just chucked in. Now he's going to become a famous opera singer. Now the Gina and this guy have teamed up against him to exploit him. No one's listening to Alfonso.
There's like
she's lovelorn. Yeah, she's feeling like lonely back in Italy, and she's going to marry Marcello. And
there's a
it's just
letter
like,
that gets stolen.
There's a letter that gets stolen that explains that, oh, it's the wine that does it. He sings.
Yeah,
and
the letter
everyone's
literally says that, doesn't it?
And it's just
We'll
like
get
a
to
bunch of. Do we have to like that's it? That's all you need to know. He sends a letter, it gets intercepted by the bad guy, and then he's like, well, I'll get the wine myself. All it is just like a bunch of shit. Like, it's just a bunch of, oh, he becomes an opera singer because the bad guy wants money now. Okay, fine. Why doesn't he just use Gina to do that? She's a good opera singer. Like, I don't understand why he feels like he needs to get him to do it.
It's really
when he already has power over Gina and he could just get her better gigs. Like, I don't understand why he feels the need to manipulate Lupo. Like, you know what I mean? Like, I don't understand.
Yeah, the relationship between Gina and the sleazy guy is just really confusing to me.
Again, it would make sense if she was in on it.
Yeah. And again, when the reason why... Well, okay, I'll explain. So he comes back home, he sings on the stage, and everyone's blown away, and even Sleazy Guy, who doesn't believe it because he thought that Vincenzo failed.
Yeah.
And then this leads to the big montage of, oh, he's now Lupo the Great, the best opera singer ever. He's super rich and everything, and somehow...
Which he already was.
Which he already was, yes, but now he's super duper.
But we can't tell the difference.
That's true, yeah.
It's not like he buys new suits or drives a fancy car. We don't know the difference.
Yep, and for some reason, Sleazy Guy and Gina get some of this money, but if she was, and she's clearly in on it there, but then why wouldn't she just, like, pretend she loves him? Like, this is the lead up to his affections. Like, you can manipulate the affections.
Because he retires from doing it because he's not getting any affection from her, and I'm going to be honest, he's not getting sex from her. He doesn't want her affection. He wants to have sex with her. He says this. So I understand the logic of, in the movie, she doesn't return the sexual favors because she's not a slut. She's not a whore. My big complaint is, okay, why is she in on this? Because, yeah, she's getting money for sure, but her character, for what we know of her, isn't financially driven. She's artistically driven. So I would understand if it was this. She's using the Sleazy Guy to get money so that she can finance her career.
Yes.
Because she's new, maybe she needs to hire bigger venues, bigger blah, 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 but she doesn't do that. And in the end, she gets fucked over by circumstances. And you just go, it's not one of those ones where it's like, oh, she deserves it because she was evil necessarily. It was more that, and she was evil, don't get me wrong, but it's more that you just go, fine, I guess.
Yeah,
like, I guess you deserve this.
She wasn't introduced as evil, but then it just kind of became like an antagonistic force.
Like, she was a bitch and she was manipulative, but it was kind of like...
But again, she started off as like this underdog character that felt wronged, so
yeah,
it's
and
like,
you could kind of understand. I thought she was a bit preppy, but it wasn't like
definitely.
she was... I don't know, they just didn't... Her characterization wasn't right, and the way they did her wasn't right. Like, the Sleazy Guy, he's nailing it. Like, they got him wearing 3 watches, because he's that kind of guy. He was selling watches, and he's a street hustler, so you get it.
And he's like,
yeah,
look,
her,
I know
I
this is gonna...
what...
Yeah, he has the lines like, oh, this is gonna be my last free meal, so I'm just gonna make the most of it.
So I don't get what her angle is.
Yeah.
I don't get what her angle is. It's so confusing. So...
Yeah, and because she didn't return any of his affections, he decides, okay, I don't want to be an opera singer, and I don't love Gina anymore.
And of course we have to hit the second into third act low point, because he intercepts the letter, the bad guy, and all Rosa wanted was, don't tell the family secret. But of course in the letter it's got the family secret, and he's retired now from opera singing. Coincidentally, it says when he's retired. And...
Ryan, hold on a second, because this was your big thing there. You said that the letter contains the family secret.
Well, when I say that, I mean it doesn't, but the bad guy thinks it does because plot needs to happen.
The film thinks it does.
I'm going to play right now, right here, what the letter said, and you, the audience, be honest with me. If you read this letter, not knowing any context of what I have just told you throughout this entire review of this movie, would you understand that this is magical wine that makes you an opera singer? Just listen to this.
Rosa, just a quick note to say, how are you? how's little Mario and how's Mama's cooking? I often think of the fun we had together. The bicycle ride in the country. Italy. When you pushed me on the swing and I fell in with the chickens. I never forget how nice you all were to me. But most of all, Rosa, I can't thank you enough for the wine you sent me. It's like a miracle. Everybody loves my voice, but now it's over. Please don't send me any more wine. I don't want to sing. My God. It's the wine.
Yeah, I don't think so. No, it doesn't. It doesn't make any sense. But
The
it
only
needs to
way-
make sense so that the
Yeah.
movie can have more conflict towards the end.
The only thing it has there is the linking between I don't want to be a singer anymore, therefore I don't need your wine, or don't send me any more wine. He doesn't
Yeah,
even
doesn't
say.
see-
He doesn't
you
say
gave it-
therefore. He doesn't say therefore. He just says you don't need to send me any more wine. It's like you could have interpreted that as like, oh, it's a gift or something.
Yeah, exactly. So, yeah, he coincidentally retires. The bad guy coincidentally gets this letter. The woman finds out, Rosa finds out, it's all like, Vincenzo comes over and he just spills the bean about that, and then her and the family felt betrayed, and it's all that, it's all that bullshit, so that he can go all the way over to Italy to interrupt her marriage with Marcello, who seems like a nice guy, so he can interrupt it and go, I love you, and she goes, I love you too. She at no point knows that he didn't do it, because the father, Lupo phones the father and tells him, and the father believes him, but he is very strict. He's like, she's going to marry, never talk to us again.
Yeah.
But he doesn't tell the daughter, so why does she still...
Yes, because this is a thing you haven't mentioned in this, Ryan. When she's confronted by Vincenzo and he's like, oh, you need to give more wine to Lupo because he needs more wine because he's a famous singer and he needs to keep singing. So give me more wine as a gift for him. And then she acts like very suspicious, like, okay, I'll get him a good one. And it's very obviously inferred that, like, oh, something's wrong with this wine.
Yeah, she's going to give him bad wine.
Yeah, and obviously we know because these villains clearly don't want to give the wine to Lupo, they're going to use the wine and it's going to be spiked and something bad's going to happen to them. And we do find out that Gina...
It's just normal wine, yeah.
Yeah, or it makes... whatever it is, it makes Gina sing badly.
She gets plastered off her face drunk and she sings badly and she's ruined. She's ruined by the end of the movie.
Yeah. But then this is an interesting point where when he calls the father, he finds out, oh, she's getting married, and obviously it's going to lead
to nice guy Marcello.
To nice guy Marcello. And it's obviously going to lead to, well, I have to go and stop the wedding. But this is a very interesting thing that happens. He talks to Alfonso, who I will remind you all is telling this whole story to Johnny.
To Johnny.
And Alfonso basically tells him, look, just forget about it. You failed. And then Lupo basically tells him, no, I have to do this. And then from this point in the film... How did you word this, Ryan? It completely falls apart. No.
It fucks up.
Yeah.
So let's rewind even more. Bartek and I, the most interesting part of this movie was I had to pause it, rewind it, go frame by frame, and lecture Bartek about how this movie had fucked up in one regard. And then from that point on, the movie kept fucking up. And Bartek didn't want to admit... Bartek doesn't agree that what I pointed out was a fuck up. There's this one bit where the maitre d', or the concierge, or whatever, the MC, is introducing Lupo to sing. And he has fairy lights behind his head.
Yeah.
And for some reason, the filming made it look like the fairy lights were piercing through the guy's skull and his hair. Like, somehow the guy's head was translucent in some weird regard, where the light bulbs behind his head were illuminating. So it looks like he had these little, light bulb dots through his head. And I was like, what the fuck was that? What the fuck was that? I had to rewind it. And Bartek and I argued about it because you were arguing, well, it wasn't done digitally because it's done on film, so it's not like, and saying done digitally means that it was done on purpose. And I'm arguing it's a fuck up. Somehow they filmed this incorrectly. And your argument was, oh, how's it a fuck up? How did they do, and I'm like...
Yeah, I was thinking more about, the intention going on.
Yeah, you don't intend to fuck up. You just do fuck up. So that was my argument. They evidently fucked up because me, the audience, I'm wondering how this guy's head is translucent enough to have fairy lights coming from behind his head. So it's a fuck up, but you didn't
So
agree.
a fuck up in the sense that because it distracted you from the
Yeah,
film.
it's a technical fuck up on some regard because there must have been some explanation. Maybe there was something off the set that was being lit and it just sparkled through his head. I don't know. But once I introduced that, from that point on, and what you're saying, when they go to the airport, the movie, it's just like they went, oh shit, we got to submit this by Friday and it's Thursday. Just fucking, and it's just like a mad rush of psycho energy in which stunt doubles are clearly stunt doubles. We've got bad framing. The camera does these weird Dutch angles for no apparent reason.
Plot progresses with these weird introduced plot points. Like, it's the moment...
Things that aren't introduced are just introduced.
Yeah, it's the moment, like I was saying before, Alfonso says, nah, don't worry, just give up. And then Lupo says a few more lines, and then all of a sudden, Alfonso's really into the idea, like, I need to get you to the airport.
Like, he doesn't even do the, you know what? You were right and I was wrong.
It's just
like,
an
it was
immediate
like,
shift, and from there on, the film just became manic and fast-paced.
And it became cartoony.
Yeah.
Like, this reality we were talking about, yeah, magical realism, magic wine, sure. But it became like... He rides a horse because there's a horse here now. He goes to this old Italian couple and they barely speak English, but then they start
and
speaking
that was the
English.
thing, like,
and then
he's at the place that he was in earlier in the film where he got off the bus, and he's like, oh, how am I going to get there? There's no taxi. And a guy riding a horse just with a carriage, like, just...
Yeah, the guy
goes by
has one
him,
horse.
And then Lupo just goes like, oh, I know what to do. And then it just cuts to him riding a horse. So, like, did he steal the horse?
And then it cuts to an obvious stunt double that they didn't even try to make it look like someone who looks like Rodney Dangerfield, and it was so embarrassing. And your favorite moment of the movie, Bartek, he meets these two elderly Italians who barely speak any English, but they give enough information to say that their favorite next door neighbor, Rosa, is getting married. Why aren't they invited?
Exactly.
They also know Marcello,
yeah.
Marcello, so why aren't they invited? But whatever.
They know what church it's at, too.
So, Rodney Dangerfield is like, okay, I've got to do this church by 12. He looks over to the horse,
he
and the
whistles.
horse, he whistles, and the horse runs away. And I was like, thank God. And then he looks around the farm. They have a farm area. He looks around. We get a quick shot of, like, what he's looking at. It's like a barn house from profile. There's a donkey, there's chickens, there's just,
It's like, what's he gonna MacGyver out of all
and then
these
he looks
elements?
and then it cuts back to him, he goes, of course! And I was like, oh shit, he's gonna ride the donkey, this is gonna be so embarrassing. And then what happens, Bartek, your favorite moment, you reacted, you were like, no, this is a fuck up.
So, all those things you listed there, the donkey, the animals, the whatever, everything you listed there, the thing that he uses is the tractor in the barn.
That we didn't see.
And
had no context for.
Usually in a film when you have that moment of, oh, of course, it's going to be something that was established, like a Chekhov's gun.
Yeah, set up and payoff.
But this is just a payoff to something that was never set up.
And it's just, and here's other things. The editing gets so sloppy. We have dropped frames between cuts, so you just have a little bit of black, a frame of black. Or there was that one cut when it goes from them there at the restaurant to the airport, and I said, "What the fuck was that?" And it was a dropped frame from a different scene. It was just a quick frame shot of them standing in a different location, and even you said, Bartek, "Now something fucked up just then." I didn't get to say what it was because I was waiting for this.
Oh, I was talking about that was I think with the pans in the kitchen.
Oh no, we'll get there. The movie introduces randomly jump cuts. So he's yelling eventually at one point at the sleazy guy, and he throws him in the kitchen, and there's all these pans hanging up, and I point this out.
Yeah.
It has a jump cut to a closer shot, and there's more pans behind his head now, and it's just so awkward, and they're different in different positions, like this was an alternative take.
And the angle wasn't different enough so that it would trick you. It was identical enough to make it almost seem like the pans popped in out of nowhere.
It was like a YouTube jump cut.
Yeah.
And then they introduced just jump cuts through the rest of the movie, like they were prevalent then. What? Like, the acting also got worse. Like, in that pan scene, it was like they didn't rehearse it. It was like they kind of just went with it. Like, and it felt very awkward. Like, the guy was doing this really awful line delivery of, like, please don't hurt me, or whatever. And it wasn't for comedic effect. It felt like they hadn't rehearsed it. Jump cuts are everywhere. and then it becomes cartoonish. You get really cartoony characters. You get these Italian policemen, and
Yeah.
they're overacting the shit out of it. And it would be funny if this was a movie that we've done like Betaville or even Fido last episode, where you have these slightly cartoonish edge characters. But this movie's had pretty naturalistic characters for the most part. Even
Yeah.
the sleazy guy with the watches and whatnot, he plays it really straight. As does Rodney Dangerfield. And so you get these cartoony characters at the end. You're like, where? And all these jump cuts and dropped frames and bad dubbing and bad stunt people and people looking like they've not rehearsed this. It really did feel like, oh shit, we got this dude. We just got to film this.
The gag with them was that Rodney Dangerfield, Lupo, was trying to appeal to them with love. He kept saying, like, Amore, this is what I'm doing it for. And they're like, oh, we understand, but we have to arrest you anyway because you were speeding and breaking the law.
Because he stole a tractor.
And then he goes into more detail and says, no, I have to go. Rosa's going to marry Marcello.
And then one of them's like, Marcello. And they speak to each other in pure Italian, and we don't understand what they're saying. We don't get subtitles for that.
We
They're
get
just like,
one line of subtitles from them when they mention his nose.
Yeah, it's like, oh yeah, they're asking him, Marcello, the one with like the anteater nose. And Rodney Dangerfield doesn't understand what they're saying, but he's like, yeah, that's Marcello, because they do the gesture of the nose.
Yeah.
And then they're like, totally on board for stopping the wedding.
It's like these guys hate Marcello for some reason.
But we don't know why.
Exactly.
We never get a reason. Like, maybe if there was a moment in which you found out why Marcello was away for 3 weeks was because he was doing some skeevy property deal that's going to ruin the valley. That could be something, right?
Give him
Or
a reason to be an antagonistic force.
he's like some kind of mogul or something. Or he's an asshole. Like, no, he's just Vincent Schiavelli, a nice guy. Like, he seems like a nice guy. Like, I don't understand.
I wouldn't go as far as to say he seems like a nice guy because the film wants us to make him, seem like the villain. So he's a bit mean to the main character that we're meant to like.
He wasn't, though.
But I know
when you
he's
think
not...
of it in real terms,
No, but this is the point.
He's just like, hey, who are you?
No, but that's what I'm getting to. The real terms. He hasn't done anything to earn scorn. He's just I guess he's discussed with the dad an arranged marriage, but yeah, he's just like a normalish kind of guy. There's nothing really bad about him outside of the context of he's not the main character that we're meant to like.
And then throughout this whole sequence, old Rodney is saying, I love Rosa. Throughout this whole sequence, the cops go down a fucking hill. And there's this bit, I was expecting this. We cut from them driving fast down this really steep hill to the inside of the church. She's about to get married, and does anyone object to this marriage? And I said out loud, do you remember what I said out loud?
I think you said that, there was gonna be a shot like he storms in and objects.
No, I said, is the car gonna crash through?
Yeah, sorry.
Because the last thing we saw was the car. But instead, it's just, he walks in. He doesn't even run in.
And we don't even get, a close-up shot. It's like a distant shot, right?
Which is fine.
Yeah.
That's traditional on some level. But he just walks in and he goes, I love Rosa. He doesn't say, I object.
Yeah.
We don't see the cops for a while. And everyone's on board.
Marcello's just really confused.
He's confused.
At the front.
And the police arrest him. From what I can gather, they grab him.
And they're like,
restrain him, and one of them makes a gesture towards their belt where their handcuffs is, and they walk off frame, and then they walk back on frame, and Marcello's no longer there, and they're like doing that gesture where they're like with the hands, and I'm like, have they handcuffed him to something? Where's Marcello?
Then one of them kisses the other, and they're like, no, stop it.
Yeah, no homo in church.
Yeah.
They did that joke too with Marcello wanting to kiss the dad, and here's the thing I don't understand. That's an Italian thing. The kiss on the lips for tradition of this. I don't understand.
Well, kiss on the cheek, yeah.
Italians like the kiss on the lips too.
Well, I mean, but they always have the thing of they grab your head and then they force themselves on your cheek. Is what I'm thinking.
Oh yeah, that too. But on some ceremonies too, they just a quick mwah on the lips. The fact that I get they're doing the no homo joke, but it's like Italians and the propensity for kissing in these kind of celebrations.
Yeah, those countries
is expected.
Those romantic countries, kissing is not as big a commitment kind of thing. This shows that they're deeply in love or whatever. It's
the Italians have the freaking kiss of death, for fuck's sake.
Yeah.
Can you imagine if in The Godfather 2, when Al Pacino gives what's his name, Frito, the kiss of death, and he's like, I know it was you. Frito's like, please, no gay, no homo.
Yeah,
I would imagine that would be great. He gives him the kiss of death instead of being very oh no, he's gonna kill me. It's more like, whoa, brother, no homo.
It's like
no homo here.
It's a more contemporary type of comedy to do, I guess.
So, and the movie just basically fucking ends. We don't even see them together, really.
Yeah, when it cuts back to the modern day with Johnny and Alfonso, like, we don't really get a conclusion of, like, what happened to Lupo and Rose's relationship.
Are they living here?
It's just like...
Are they living back there?
It's just... That's the story of love that I wanted to tell you.
And then it has a really weird ending.
Yeah.
Like, you were really baffled by the ending of...
The tone of it, yeah.
Tell us about this.
So-
I still don't understand what the fuck's happened here.
So this is what happens. Alfonso tells Johnny, look, you don't have to... You go back to her. You don't have to say a word. You don't have to speak. You don't have to... I think he even said, like, you don't have to open your mouth. It's like, you just have to sing. And
Because
then...
he's been pouring him wine this whole story.
Yeah, yeah. So Johnny leaves... And then Alfonso soon leaves as well with like an umbrella, and it's like it's set at night. It's dark. He looks through the window
Above the Chinese
restaurant that's next door and across like a little road.
It's around the corner.
Yeah, around the corner from them. And silhouette up there. Apparently, that's where Johnny's girlfriend lived, really close by. They're making out. They're clearly together, and Alfonso's looking up at them like really. Forlornly.
You're also forgetting the music in the background. The non-diegetic music, which is he's singing opera. The guy.
Yeah.
Yeah, and he's looking weirdly, like he's got his hand and he looks forlorn. I don't know what's going on.
It's like, not everything can have a happy ending, but
there is.
It is a happy
And then
ending.
he just kind of walks into the foggy night. And it's
Yeah.
like one of those things where it feels like in that moment, if Alfonso...
had an arc?
No. If Alfonso walked into the fog and he, transparency effect happened and he disappeared and it's like Alfonso's not real, it wouldn't be unnatural. The way that shot was, it felt like if he was, an imaginary or guardian angel or something, you wouldn't be surprised. You'd be like... You know what? Yeah, for that sequence.
Because...
remove the rest of the movie. Just the way it's filmed and the way it's acted and the way it's done, the music, and if he just transported or flew off or something, you wouldn't be surprised. You'd be like, yeah, you know what?
You know what? I think even for the whole movie, because now thinking about it, he kind of was like the ally of love throughout the whole
Except
film.
for he was against so many things. I don't know. It's weird.
Hello, Rosa! Rosa!
It's a movie.
It is a movie.
That is a thing I can say. It is a movie. It's shot very blandly. It's not the greatest, thing ever. But
beginning, middle, and end.
Yeah, it's beginning, middle, and end. It follows cliches. Bartek, let's get to it.
Yes.
Would you recommend this?
No.
I'm surprised.
I mean,
you were laughing quite a bit through this. You had double-digit amount of laughter in this, and that's surprising because sometimes I show you things that are genuinely funny, and you sit there stone-faced. So why does this get no recommendation from you?
It's just really sloppy. Maybe on a... No, I don't even know if a bad movie night it would work. It's just too weird in a way that just wouldn't elicit that much comedy from it. I know I did laugh, but part of my laughter did come from the awkwardness of the film and the fact that you and Rachel were a lot more uncomfortable and embarrassed by the film.
Yeah.
No
recommendation. Wow.
I mean, look, it won't kill you if you really want to check it out. Knock yourself out. But if I was talking to someone about films to recommend, this wouldn't be one of them.
I'm a no as well, obviously. This movie, Barcenzo, is sloppy. It is embarrassing. We didn't really emphasize this is embarrassing. This is embarrassing on multiple levels. The feeling of things weren't rehearsed. The very sexual elements to it that are very and the exploitation of characters and the people. None of the characters are really likable. And also, it's embarrassing because I don't know how to say this politely, but it feels like Rodney Dangerfield wrote this, and it feels like he waited too late because there's this kind of awkwardness because he looks so haggard. He looks like he's near the end of his life. He isn't looking good. and it can, and there are moments where he has the spark. There's moments where he does, but for the most part, it looks like an old dying man who's trying his best, and it just isn't working. And that's very uncomfortable. That's very uncomfortable to watch. And the other thing I got to really stress is it's just not funny. It's just not funny. And it's wasteful. It's wastefully unfunny. Like, Rodney Dangerfield didn't write jokes for himself, which is confusing. Like, you have the stand-up moments in there. And if it was more of that, if he was more of that wise-cracking kind of guy, or more of that self-deprecating, he wasn't even that self-deprecating in
his
this.
introductory scene. That was what he seemed like, and it just wasn't like that for the rest of the film.
He wasn't self-deprecating. It was so weird. Like, it was just a waste of everyone's talents involved. There was nothing I could say that was really that funny other than that moment of the money dabbing thing, and I felt that was improvised on the fly. No, don't check this out. This is a waste of time. Unfortunately, I would say check out Rodney Dangerfield's stand-up, check out his guest spots on interview shows. You know,
check out that viral video where Johnny Carson can't keep up with his one-liners.
Check out his stuff. I would recommend Rodney Dangerfield, definitely. He was an entertaining guy, a man of his times for sure, but a man of comedy nonetheless. And Caddyshack and Back to School definitely as some examples. But
and Rover Dangerfield.
But nah, skip this. Bartek, what year do you think this came out?
I honestly don't know, so I'm just gonna shot in the dark, say 1997. Let's go 1994.
1994. When I watched this, I know the year, by the way, so I looked it up, but when I watched this, I thought 1998. That's because he looked so haggard, and I was like, I don't remember when he died. This film came out in 2002.
Wow.
Yeah, fuck me, it came out in 2002. It looks like it's from the 90s.
I for sure was like, okay, it can't be the 2000s.
It looks... Can you believe this came out post 9/11? Just factor that into your brain.
Probably made during.
When they were filming it, they were probably thinking, oh boy, 9/11. But and he died in 2004. So yeah, he was near the end. And I don't remember what he died of, but I think he was having chronic issues. Like, you know, he wasn't looking good. He had heart problems. I know that for sure. But, like...
He looked good riding the horse.
The other guy, yeah. So, no, don't check this out. It's unfortunate, but there's other things out there with him that are enjoyable. A legend, but not legendary in this. And that's the ultimate tragedy. Now, Barteko...
I believe my name was...
Barcenzo.
Barcenzo, yes.
You don't even remember. You're going to correct me, but you don't even remember.
You said it like a minute ago, too.
We're going to have to finish the episode, but before we finish the episode, we have to escape this room. What's stopping us this episode, Barcenzo, from escaping the room is not an individual blocking the door. In fact, we can leave the door. We can just open it up and leave right now, but you know what's stopping us?
You're right. Yeah, what's stopping us?
Ourselves.
Oh.
This movie is a downer, and we're feeling a bit down, you know? Like, we both really at our hearts wanted to recommend this movie. We wanted this to succeed. Like, when we grabbed it out, we're like, you know, we're looking forward to it.
Funny man is in movie. Must be funny.
And we're down. The concept of depression and downness is stopping us from wanting to get up and ending this episode and doing the bit where I tell you guys to leave us reviews and ratings on all the podcast platforming sites. We're on all of them, and what everyone's can, and we're on YouTube and Facebook and Twitter and all of that, and Spin Polish Presents. Check us out, recommend us to your friends. We can't get to that moment yet because we're just feeling down, man. So we have to pick someone from this movie to, you know, lighten us up. Who would you suggest?
Well, I suppose since we are feeling down, we have to pick someone that brings us up. Who's a joy in this film that would bring us up? I mean, it can't be Alfonso because of his last scene where he looked so
very
forlorn.
Haunting, yeah.
I guess Johnny's in a good place, but he's barely a character since he's only, like, literally in the...
And he's sad for the times we see him.
Yeah. I mean, he's...
Maybe a bummer.
And the one time he's happy, he's just a silhouette in a window.
Could have been a puppet, yeah.
I guess Lupo was always kind of optimistic, but he's so old and haggard that I don't know if he'll have the energy.
Is there anyone? Fuck, have I chosen an impossible task for us?
What about the woman on the plane? She was in a good mood.
Yeah, sure, her, I guess.
Why not?
So, Bartek, my move... I guess we don't have moves. We just ask her to make us smile.
I'll make a move.
Okay. Oh, no. You'll make a move on her, right? You're like, hey, lady.
I'm on it.
Goo, goo, goo.
My move is...
Spit and the Pasta presents.
My move is I'll try to get up. No, it didn't work.
And my move is gesturing to her with my hand to do something.
The gesture that the mum did, which was like a beckon, but it was a bye.
And she looks at us and she just puts her shawl over her head and cries. And it works! We're smiling now.
That's random.
Okay, Bartek, I'm feeling good now.
Same.
We can easily leave the room. So, guys, listening people, you guys have been fantastic, amazing, wonderful listening people, as always. Thank you for sticking through, listening. Share this with all your people that you love and or hate. We put a lot of work into this particular show, and you can check out our weekly show, Unappreciated Masterpieces. We're on the social media of Twitter and Facebook, Spit and Polish Presents.
Not pasta?
Oh, maybe. I could change it.
We should change it for this month.
Yeah, we have an email if you have any inquiries or questions or love letters or threats. Spit and polished at gmail.com.
Yeah, spit and polished, like past tense polish.
And like I said, if you get spare the time, give us a rating and review on whatever podcast platforming site. Those are always very helpful. But it's been a joy talking about the fourth tenor with you, Bartek. But I guess hopefully next month we have a guest that doesn't forget that they were supposed to be recording this with us. I guess.
Did that happen?
Maybe. I'm not going to name names.
Didn't that also happen when we did Meteor Apocalypse?
Yeah. So I guess until next time, listening people, remember to be Italiano to each other. Mwah, mwah.